Welcome back to Insight. Dave's with the Sweeney Law Firm and is joining us here to talk about damages, because I think a lot of people have, TV, movie images of maybe what damages they are due or what they can get when something bad happens to them. Are those things close, or are we all living in a fantasy world?
Yeah, I would say that's, the main purpose of what we do. We handle personal injury and medical malpractice cases. Our primary function is to get people compensation. And the whole idea behind compensation is to try to make it commensurate with what you've gone through. So I think most of the time what we're really focused on is what we would consider to be economic damages. The one I think that most people are familiar with would be damages for medical expenses or for lost wages. But also the law says that you're entitled to damages for what we call non-economic damages, for what I call human harms. People experience a lot of pain and suffering, a lot of disability. So the law says that if you are injured as a result of the negligence of another person or a corporation, you're entitled to recover damages for your human harms, your pain and suffering and your disability and your inability to lead a normal life.
Now, is that not just accidents? I'm guessing there's some malpractice involved in that. Is there a difference in how you're injured that results in a difference in the damages you can expect?
Not really, Dirk. I mean, the big, I would say, because we do a fair share of medical malpractice and nursing home cases, we see particular types of harm associated with medical malpractice or nursing home neglect. We see a lot of cases in that arena where someone suffers very, very serious harm or death. In a car wreck case, it could be the whole spectrum from somebody suffers a relatively modest musculoskeletal injury all the way up to paralysis. So it runs the whole gamut. And
in the event of death, unfortunately, there's how do you put a dollar figure on that, or what else what else can a person do? What kind of damages can they expect?
Well, in the whole thrust behind, it's sort of interesting following Dave McComb at D.O. McComb & Sons. The whole thrust in a wrongful death case is to compensate the harm to the survivors. That's one of the misconceptions about wrongful death. I think a lot of people associate damages in a legal case associated with what happened to the person that died. Well, we have to establish that somebody's responsible for that death, but the damages in a wrongful death case are intended to compensate the survivors for their loss of love and companionship, or for the economic loss. If somebody was a breadwinner for their family, they're entitled to recover damages for the money that person would have earned over the course of their lifetime. So those are the primary elements of damage in a wrongful death case.
And are there other misconceptions about personal injury, things that people may think that may or may not be true?
I think there are, Dirk. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that damages in personal injury cases are somehow driven by sympathy, or I think there's a very big misconception that there's a lot of runaway jury verdicts in this area, a lot of high damage awards because people are trying to do that for sympathy for the victim, that sort of thing. I don't think that's realistic. I think most of the time in our civil justice system, the damages are not driven by sympathy for the victims. Another thing that's a misconception that I would say in this arena would be that there are a lot of awards in the civil courts for punitive damages. Those are very rare. In fact, in our state, if there is a punitive damage award, 75% of the punitive damage award goes to the state of Indiana. So punitive damage awards, which are damages that are intended to punish the wrongdoer, those are extremely rare in the state of Indiana.
And we're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask quickly, is it harder to establish the damages part of the lawsuit, or do you spend more of your time actually proving that the person was at fault, which consumes more of your time?
I would say honestly, Dirk, that most of the cases, if we do a good job in screening our cases, most of the cases that we are working on are cases where there is liability. So I would say the bulk of my time is spent on developing strategies to prove damages and persuade people that there's been significant harm to the victim.
All right, good to know. And if people want to contact you, the easiest way, I'm guessing, is to go to the website.
Yes, it's SweeneyLawFirm.com.
SweeneyLawFirm.com, or you can give them a call at 420-3137, and you can find out more. And again, if you've been damaged in an accident of some sort, or know a loved one, send them to SweeneyLawFirm.com. Dave, thanks for joining us. We'll be right back here on Insight.